Hi, everybody. Thomas Miller on the Fun Astrology Weekly Overview. Kind of a short one here. I'm just going to pop up a chart. We'll highlight a couple of things, but we do have some significant changes and blends in our energy this week. So let's jump in here. I'm going to try to do this almost kind of a one and done just because of my own time frame here. But as we start off the week, we're going to start it off with the moon over in Libra, but later degrees, and it moves into Scorpio to get Monday kicked off. And we'll just hop up there. That wanted to just show you kind of how the week begins. And we have still this configuration, and Kristin's going to talk about it, show it to you here. We have this big kite. These kites are just beautiful. They're really positive energy. And then with that, you see the kite now. You can pick it out. You can also see the rectangle. See it right there. So this has been with us. It was there last week, even with last week. So the sky is giving us some indications of this really powerful, good energy. And, the other stuff that's going on is kind of also at a pull with this. We talk about this right here on Monday. So there's all this going on. Neptune is now in Aries. Mercury will be in Pisces on Monday. On Wednesday, it moves into Aries. But look, you've got all this Pisces energy with Venus, what we love, Saturn, our structure, our North Node compass, our direction in life, where we're headed. And of course, it moves backwards, so it's just fresh into Pisces. At least when all of this other stuff moves out, the North Node will still be there. And then Mercury, which is short-lived, it will be moving into Aries, like I said, on Wednesday. And it is all in a really big, powerful trine aspect to Mars. So we talk about this on the audio podcast on Monday, and just the last little breath here of before Mercury moves out and before this aspect fades away, with Mars moving back into Leo, which happens Friday morning early. We have an opportunity with this energy to be in this space of straddling the Aries energy through Neptune, so the forward motion, the action, but yet we're still coming from our soul. We're still coming from intuition. And also by Wednesday, Luna will be over here in Sagittarius, and that offers a nice, really good blend. In fact, let's just pop up now to Wednesday, and I'll show you. Whoa! What happened to all of this? Look, we have more beautiful. Did that just jump out to your eye as I changed the chart there? And look, it still is in the kite. We still have the rectangle. My goodness, could this be any better? And then look, we've almost got a little pentagram going here. Isn't that amazing? That is really powerful, cool energy coming through. And now you can kind of see it. But you notice how the moon is now in Sagittarius. Mercury moves into Aries. So the blend here, here's kind of the deal, is we have our mind, but Mercury represents two signs. So we have our mind, so we're thinking, we're moving into Aries, which is action. We hit Neptune. That happens early Thursday morning, so Kristin is going to talk about that specifically. But that brings the Neptunian division or fogginess to the equation, but it also brings a nice combination of the spiritual and the mental. So we have all of that happening, but with Mercury ruling two signs, we have the duality or the multiplicity of Gemini combined with the do it right, do it well with Virgo. And that's what we're putting together here is as Mercury moves through, let me get rid of this, as Mercury moves through Aries, which is going to take 5 weeks this time because Mercury is coming off of its retrograde, right? So it's moving a little slow right now, just like I am. But it's going to catch up just like I will. It'll get in a good tailwind here as it moves through. It takes until May 25th for it to move all the way through into Taurus. But as it does, we're going to be dealing with multiple things that we want to get done, but we want to do them well. Or the energy in the sky is, let's do them well. Let's put some Virgo quality to it. And then let's prioritize what we have on our plate so that we don't get overwhelmed. We don't get locked into the Piscean/Neptune scatteredness. And we begin to focus in on exactly what we want to achieve. And then you mentioned the big aspect on Friday morning here is that Mars enters Leo. Robert and I did an episode on this, and I'm telling you, this is where we go back to these challenges and conflicts and everything that's been going on. And look, I spoke to this on Monday, and I'll just say it here. Started to get some comments. Hey, we don't bring the negative stuff in. When you grow up in a family where your mom was almost singularly focused on Bible prophecy, and that's all you heard from junior high until you could get out and go to college, and then you heard about it for another 20 years, and the astrology that we've talked about, Saturn and Pluto, and then Saturn and Jupiter, and then the USA Pluto return, all these signatures that are telling us that things are probably going to shift and change. And we're not going to fear them, but when they do start to happen, it's the analogy I said is like if I was walking in your neighborhood at 11 o'clock at night and I saw flames shooting up through your roof, would you be upset with me because I rattled on your door and woke you up? Well, that's a little bit of what's going on here. We're not going to dwell on it. I'm not even going to bring it into this episode, but I just wanted to address what I'm trying to do is balance from my own heart a message that has been there since really when I started to hear it was the early 1970s when I was in junior high school. And this drumbeat of Jesus is coming back and the Bible and the tribulation and the mark of the beast and the buy and sell system that has to come to a halt for the people who don't take the mark and all of that. And then stepping into astrology and hearing a different version of it of the United States, Pluto return in 2022. Oh my, the 250-year cycle that we see represented by Saturn and Pluto conjoining in Capricorn. All of this rattling around in my head. And then when I start to listen to some of the top premier bond fund managers in the world, and they are shaking in their boots at what they're seeing in just 2 days, I just feel that there's some kind of responsibility, at least to bring it to the table. We're not going to overemphasize it, but that's what I was doing last week in the podcast. There's not that much this week. We're just going to let it play out. Things look like they are pivoting somewhat over the weekend. And the one thing that we have is we just mentioned Mercury and we just mentioned Gemini. We have a Gemini in the White House. So it's like not taking sides, just saying what it is. A Gemini is in control of the throttle right now, and it's going to be interesting. Uranus is very prominent in the chart for the United States and him as well too. So that's it. I just wanted to deliver that. I'm just trying to do the right thing by kind of messages from the past and what's there now. Mars moves into Leo on Friday, and that is, Robert and I did an Old Soul, New Soul from his house. In fact, on my travels, I stopped off and we recorded 4 episodes. So we have the next several videos coming up on the video channel. You can watch that, the new video channel for Old Soul, New Soul Astrology Podcast. I hope you've subscribed. If you haven't, jump over there and find it. But he talked about this from the challenging side. I still see this beautiful trine. I mean, it's like, and we do have a sextile here. Let me get my thing coming back. We've got a sextile to the south node. I mean, these are all favorable aspects. There is an opposition to Pluto. This is huge, 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 huge. That's what is causing the main angst, and that's what Robert was talking about primarily. He doesn't really focus on Chiron. We do have this square to, it's across, we have a square to Chiron. Let me just put it that way. I got to get this done. Look at this square too. I mentioned the kite, but look at this. We have a big grand cross in there as well. The moon is part of it, so it's a one-day thing. But there is tense energy here. There's a lot of energy, as you can see. Almost everything in some kind of way, especially from yesterday, is connected. But we still have this great trine with these planets tailing out in Pisces and beginning their path in Aries. And all of that is in a favorable aspect now to Mars in Leo, which is double fire. So we're just going to play all this out and see how it works through. But yes, there could be some challenges around that aspect. If you want to hear more of that side of it, then the Old Soul, New Soul podcast is the place to look. And then pretty much the other thing rounding out, and I'll skip up here, just not quite enough on the right thing, and I'm not going to pull back on the day. But here now, the sun enters Taurus, which is the money sign. So we're going to have an emphasis of that. And look, in zodiacal order, it's obviously in the second house of our possessions and our money. Fortunately, we don't have anything over in Scorpio across from it. Now, this is zodiacal order. We're 0 degrees Aries. So in the natural flow of the chart, the focus is going to be on money. And we'll see how it shapes up for it to, what we're going to deal with. But toward the end of the month, the three and a half weeks or so, then that sun will be conjoining Uranus. So this is pretty much what we're dealing with for the week. Hopefully that gives you at least a visual in your mind that as we go through the audio podcasts, that you can kind of walk onto the pictures of that and follow it through. Thanks for watching. I'm going to get hopefully everything kind of here, at least this week, and start to unload. If any of you want to come help, let me know. I would love to have you. I need some help. But yeah, so that's what the week is going to be. I'll check in next weekend. We'll do this again. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great week. I'll see you on the audio podcasts.